Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to all my viewers. Welcome to my channel. Please don't forget to subscribe my channel, and if you have issue in your research analysis, you may contact me on my given number. In this video I am going to show you that how can we perform sequential mediation analysis in SmartPLS 4. And here we have definitely with the two mediators and one dependent variable with one independent variable. In my previous videos that I have told you that I am going on this model. This is my base model, and from the start, from the confirmatory factor analysis to the sequential mediation, I am working on this model. Let's go to the SmartPLS version 4, and here is my base model. First of all, I have to make copy of it, on which I will perform a sequential mediation analysis. It should be renamed as a sequential mediation, and then I have to save this. Let me open this model and show you. This is my complete model on which I am working. In my first video, second video, I explain it in a detail. So here you can see there is a moderating effect, and there is a two mediator, two dependent variable with the one sequential mediator. So for sequential mediation, I am not going to perform all the analysis at this time. Just this is the first part of this sequential mediation analysis, in which I will show you that how can we perform a sequential mediation analysis with the two mediator. Definitely they are working in a sequence, and with dependent variable, and after that I will show you the more complex method in which I will take this complete model with two mediators and two dependent variables to fully explain you. But for the basic analysis, for basic understanding, we have to make it a simple. So once you understand that how we perform a sequential mediation analysis or how it works, then you can easily understand the complex method. We have to remove this dependent variable. Definitely the dependent variable is here, we have to delete it. Let's delete the moderation effect, and then we have to delete the second mediator, second dependent variable. Now just we have two mediators that are working in a sequence and one dependent variable. So I have to make a realignment of this model. Here is my dependent variable. Now you will see that how it looks a sequential mediation effect, and this way you can easily understand this part. Now here just I want to explain you how actually sequential mediation works. So for that purpose I have to just remove the other paths that you can easily understand this. I am just removing this path, and I will show you what is the actually sequential mediation. What is the basic working of sequential mediation? In prior videos we deal with the single mediation. Single mediation works like that: IV to mediator and mediator to dependent variable. This is called a simple mediation analysis, and for this is our simple mediation. And for parallel mediation, you just need to parallel mediation. For a parallel mediation, sorry, IV to mediator 1 dependent variable, and this relation is a simple mediation analysis. And when you include the second mediator, mediator 2, and you now analyze the effect through IV's effect through mediator 2 effect, this is called the parallel mediation. Parallel mediation. For parallel mediation, you notice that these mediators are parallel to each other. They have no direct link with each other, and their indirect effect is examined through the IV2 dependent variable. So we say it is a parallel mediation, and for parallel mediation I made a video earlier. You can watch out the previous video in my SmartPLS 4 version playlist. You can see there we have how we have performed the parallel mediation analysis. So for sequential mediation, this is your sequential mediation. In this you have independent variable, your dependent variable, direct effect. Now your two mediator 1 and mediator 2, let's suppose, are in a sequence that you want to examine the effect of IV on DV through mediator 1 and through mediator 1 to mediator 2, and then mediator 2 to a dependent variable. Actually this is a relationship like that. For example, I say that there is a person A and there is a person B. Once he has the relationship with A and B's person's relationship could be weak or strong, and we, for simple mediation, we see that the another person, that is called C, and we examine the relationship A from C to B. But for sequential mediation, we notice that the A's relationship with C and C relationship has a with to D, and D also has a relationship with the B. Now we want to find out, is there any relationship between A to C to D to B, and if this relationship exists, then we will say that there is a sequential mediation. So it's very simple like that. I have explained you. There is a, again here is the direct path and IV to DV, and for indirect path, for indirect path, now we have, let me zoom in, uh, for IV to a DV there is a direct path. This is direct path, and definitely the direct path prior to run mediation, it could be significant or not. And indirect path here will be, you will see that this is a, let's suppose IV2 mediator 1 is A, mediator 1 to mediator 2 is the B, and mediator 2 to mediator 3 is the C path. So actually what is the indirect path, or of which we have to find the significance for indirect path? This is a simple way that we have to multiply A into B into C, that is the beta weights are coefficient, and we examine that it is either significant or not. If this is a significant, definitely there is a sequential mediation. If it is a not significant, then we do not have a sequential mediation. The other path could also be lies here, but for simplicity I want to just explain the simple way that how sequential mediation effect I can show here that, for example, IV have a effect on a mediator 2 also, mediator 1 also have a direct effect on a dependent variable. And if you notice that, if you find IV's effect through mediator 1 to DV, this become a simple mediation between the IV to DV. And similarly, if you examine the IV to mediator C to DV, it is another simple mediation analysis, or the indirect path will be different for this. But for sequential mediation, now this path is from IV to mediator 1, then mediator 1 to mediator 2, then mediator 2 to mediate dependent variable. In some cases, most of the students make different hypotheses for their studies according to, might be they have made direct hypothesis that there is a sequential mediation between the IV to TV with respect to mediator 1 and mediator 2. Some may have broken this hypothesis in different parts, like I have made these two arrows here, that mediator 1 has a significant effect between the mediation effect between IV to DV is similarly mediator 2 has significant mediation effect between the IV DV. So these different hypotheses can be formulated in this. Now I am going to just run and show you that either our results are significant or not. For this I'm just going to run a simple PLSM or consistent PLS SEM bootstrapping. Bootstrapping will give us your probability value, significance value, and we need not to run PLS simple algorithm that provides a different outcome in which you can see the confirmatory factor analysis and other requirement. But we are here concerned about, are interested in the our path analysis and significance of the path analysis. Bootstrapping step setup should be on a default mode, and it is a good adjusted, no need to change. PLS setup should be changed to the path analysis. We require standardized result, and here is the data. Now I will click on the start calculation and it will run the analysis. Take just a minute or less than a minute to execute the bootstrapping, and it will generate a report or results in which we will just, for simplicity again, I show you that we are concerned here with the, okay, there is an error I think, and I will see you it later. Okay, this is here the output or the results, and in this results you can see there is a 0 0 and 0 0 is the p values. And if I change it to for outer model, I change it to outer weights and p values, but I usually use here t values. T value should be greater than 2, and if the greater than 2, then there is no issue in the items loading. You can also check it from outer weights loading or p values. Similarly, I just change it into t values, here t values. And for inner model, I will mention it, I will choose to path coefficient and p values. Now you can see that the 4 paths are again here significant. Their output shows that IV to DV fact is also significant, and IV to mediator 1 is significant, mediator 1 to mediator 2 is significant, and mediator 2 to dependent variable also significant. So in simple way, by looking this graph and these results, if these 3 paths, path A, path B and path C are significant, then I can say that the indirect path, that is A into B into C, will also be a significant. And if this path is significant, then we can say that there is a sequential mediation exist here. And I can show you in the results table. You have just to move the cursor here and just go to the path coefficient. In first path coefficient, it shows exactly the path beta weights with their significance values, like IV to DV direct effect was 0.36, and for p value given is significant. Similarly, IV to mediator 1, then mediator 1 to mediator 2, then mediator 2 to dependent variable, and these all paths are significant. But for to confirm is there sequential mediation exist or not, we have to move through the specific indirect path. And in specific indirect path, now you can see here that the first path show you IV to mediator 1 to mediator 2 to dependent variable. This is your sequential mediation indirect path, and this is a 0.00. Its value is significant. Similarly, now you can see here the it further indirect path are broken here, although I have not shown here. If you could could see here, mediation 1, mediator 2, and then dependent variable, and mediator 1 to mediator 2, and mediator 1 to mediator 2. What are these paths? If I go to the graphical view, basically, as I am more concerned about this path, mediator A to mediator B to mediator C. This is my main uh, indirect path, which it shows as IV to mediator 1 to mediator 2 and mediator dependent variable. But uh, there are other indirect paths are also present in this case, like for example this path IV to mediator 1 to mediator 2. This is another indirect path which it calculated mediator 1 to mediator 2, and again mediator 1 to mediator 2, mediator 1 to mediator 2 to dependent variable. This is a third part. So I am concerned about here for sequential mediation that this indirect path is significant or not. If this is a significant, then I can say there is a presence of sequential mediation. But if these path, for example, in some cases might be if this path is significant, like for example A and B is and C, I was concerned for A, B into C, and if the path A into B is significant and B into C, another indirect path, is insignificant, definitely one path is insignificant, then this path or overall path will also be insignificant. And if this is insignificant, then there is a no sequential mediation. For sequential mediation, these three paths must be significant, so their overall effect will become significant. uh, this was all about the sequential mediation effect. Finally, I will show here you if I add the other paths which I have told you earlier, that we can also analyze the effect from mediator 1 to TV and IV to mediator 2. Now I have added two more extra paths in which you can also analyze the effect of IV to mediator 1 to DV, IV to mediator 2 to DV, and further you can analyze the sequential mediation IV1 to IV to mediator 1 to mediator 2 to dependent variable. Now, but in this case, you will notice that it breaks it into different indirect paths. For example, if I rename it A, B, C. Now, this is D, and let's suppose this is E. Now, the first sequential mediation, it will be A into B into C. But further indirect path could be broken into A into B, B into C, A into D, and uh, E into C. These could be the in my point of view, there should be 5 more indirect paths. Let's check out is there presence of 5 indirect paths or not. We just calculate here PLS SEM bootstrapping to get the probability value of significance of the model overall results, and we check it as a path analysis and click on the start calculation option. Let it execute the bootstrapping and it will generate the results or reports. I think you are now understood that how sequential mediation works in the SmartPLS under this setting. This is for simple sequential mediation analysis with a one dependent, one independent, and for two mediators. uh, Here you can see the results are shown here. All the paths are the significant. It's been here I think paths overlapping the results. If in this case you just move the one variable here and notice that the which value is lies with the which arrow. For example, it 0.340 is with it and 0.28 is with it. Now you can set the diagram. This helps to easily move the values and see exact the outcome of the result. In my model, in case of my model or in case of my data set, all the paths are significant, and just I will show you the first in the path coefficient. You can now see that the path coefficients are divided into different paths. Now mediator 1 and mediator 2 effect is also included in this model. All the paths are significant, but in this case we are concerned for specific indirect effects. Indirect effects, the first one shows you the sequential mediation that covers from IV to mediator 1 to mediator 2 to dependent variable, and for further breakup into different mediator 1 to mediator 2 to dependent variable, IV to mediator 1 to dependent variable, IV to mediator 1 to mediator 2, and IV to mediator 1 2 to mediator dependent variable. I told you that there should be a 5 indirect paths, so you can see here that there is a 5 presence of 5 indirect paths are there, and all the paths are significant. So their indirect mediation for if we see the mediation effect of each mediator is also significant, and there is also presence of a sequential mediation. So we can conclude that the both mediators mediates the relationship of IV and DV, and there is also presence of sequential mediation. You can check out the other things like for total indirect effects. Total indirect effects are also significant, and here are the total effect that include the indirect and direct effects both of the model, and so far it is a complete analysis for your sequential mediation analysis. Thank you very much. Please, if you do not understand anything or you have query, you can comment on my comment section in this video. Thank you very much.